Welcome to Daily Life in the Past. Here, we explore how ordinary people lived before modern technology and comfort shaped everyday life. If you enjoy learning about the past, feel free to leave a comment and let us know where you are watching from. And if you would like to support the channel, a like or subscription is always appreciated. For most of human history, people did not live by exact time. They did not plan their day by a clock that shows 7,000, 40,000, 40,000. Instead, they lived by natural cues, shared community signals, and work that could stretch or shrink depending on weather, season, and need. This topic is not only about missing technology. It is about a different system for organizing life. When exact time is not common, a society still needs coordination. People still need to meet, trade, travel, worship, and rest. The difference is how they define when. This documentary explains daily life without exact timekeeping. It looks at the main tools people used, the kinds of schedules they followed, and how the world changed as clocks became more common. The first key idea is that time can be measured in at least two ways. One way is exact and uniform, like modern hours and minutes. The other way is relative and flexible, like at dawn, when the sun is highest, after the heat breaks, or before dark. In many past societies, the second way was the normal way. The second key idea is that without exact time, the day is still structured. It is just structured by events and conditions rather than by numbers. People often measured time by sequences: first light, sunrise, mid-morning, midday, afternoon, sunset, twilight, and night. They also measured time by tasks: milking, feeding, baking, mending, opening the market, bringing animals in, and locking gates. A third key idea is that time knowledge is social. Not everyone needs the same precision. A farmer working a field may not need minutes. A sailor on a long voyage needs better time discipline, even if it is still not exact in the modern sense. A monastery can use bells and prayer times to coordinate many people without anyone reading a personal watch. To understand daily life without exact time, it helps to start with the most basic timekeeper: the sky. The sun gives a daily rhythm that almost everyone can recognize. Light changes gradually at dawn, grows stronger through the morning, reaches its highest point near midday, then weakens toward evening. Even without a clock, people can often judge about where they are in the day. But the sun does not create equal hours across the year. In many places, summer days are long and winter days are short. In older systems, people often accepted that an hour could change length with the season. In the ancient Mediterranean world and later in medieval Europe, a common approach was to divide daylight into 12 parts and night into 12 parts. That means the day hours were longer in summer and shorter in winter. The same happened to night hours in the opposite direction. This is sometimes called temporal hours or unequal hours. In a system like this, the concept of the third hour, or the sixth hour, is anchored to sunrise, not to a fixed 60-minute hour. Midday can still be recognized as the sun's highest point, but the size of each hour depends on the season. This matters for daily life. If someone says a task begins at the first hour, it might mean soon after sunrise, but in winter, that first hour passes quickly. In summer, it stretches longer. People in these systems were not confused by that. They expected the world to change with the seasons. The moon also helped structure life, not by minutes, but by months and nights. A bright moon changes night work, travel safety, and guard duty. Many calendars are built around lunar cycles. People often planned longer activities around phases of the moon, especially when artificial lighting was limited. The stars helped most for navigation and for recognizing seasons. Farmers could connect certain star patterns with planting or harvesting periods. Again, this is time as a pattern, not as a number. Natural cues did not only come from the sky. They came from bodies and environments. In rural life, the day often followed animal needs. Chickens wake early. Cows need milking. Horses need feeding. These needs come at roughly regular intervals. Weather also shaped time. A rainy day slows many outdoor tasks. A very hot day pushes heavy labor earlier and later, leaving a break in the middle. In a clock-driven world, people might say work from 9 to 5. In a natural rhythm world, people might work from first light until the heat becomes too strong, rest, then work again until near dark. In farming communities, seasons could matter more than days. Planting time and harvest time are urgent. Winter can be slower in some regions, with more indoor work like tool repair, spinning, weaving, or food preservation. So how did people coordinate larger groups without exact time? The most important answer in many places was public signals. Bells are a strong example. A bell can be heard across a town or village. It does not require literacy. It does not require private equipment. It creates shared awareness. Everyone hears it at once. In medieval Europe, church bells often marked major prayer times, which also became community time signals. Even people who were not part of the clergy could use bell sounds as anchors, morning, midday, evening, and special events. These prayer times are often described as canonical hours. They include major daily services like morning and evening prayers, and several smaller times during the day. The exact practice varied across places and periods, but the basic idea was regular pauses for worship that also organized the day. This does not mean everyone stopped work at the same minute. It means the bell provided a shared reference point. If a meeting is after sext, people understand it means after the midday prayer period, roughly around midday. This is time coordination without minute precision. Town life also used other signals. Markets might open at daybreak or after a morning bell. City gates might open and close by daylight conditions or by a curfew bell. A curfew originally relates to covering or banking fires at night, a practical safety measure in dense towns with wooden buildings. Night watch routines could be organized by a sequence of patrols and calls, not by wristwatches. Workplaces had their own signals too. In some crafts, work began when there was enough light to see detail. In indoor workshops, that might be later in winter and earlier in summer. Before widespread affordable lighting, the working day could be as long as the light lasts. Meals were another organizing tool. In many societies, people did not eat on a modern fixed schedule of breakfast, lunch, dinner at exact times. Meal patterns varied by culture, class, and labor type. Still, meals often served as daily markers. If someone says we will speak after the main meal, that gives a shared time window. Travel was also organized differently without exact time. For short distances, people might plan to leave at dawn and arrive by midday or by nightfall. The main travel unit was often the day's journey, not the hour. Routes were described by landmarks and stages. The next village, the river crossing, the ridge, the inn. Time estimates could be expressed as half a day, or 2 days, adjusted for terrain and weather. This kind of planning is flexible. It accepts that delays happen. It also accepts that arriving late afternoon is still normal. The goal is reaching a place safely before darkness or bad weather, not arriving at 4037. In towns, some people did need more precision than the average farmer. Merchants coordinating deliveries, officials running courts, and religious institutions managing services all benefited from more regular time signals. But even then, more regular did not always mean exact minutes. Over centuries, societies developed tools to measure time more precisely. But daily life often stayed flexible for a long time. Sundials are one of the best-known tools. Sundial can show the sun's position and help estimate the time during daylight. But sundials have limits, they do not work at night, and they fail in heavy cloud. Water clocks, sometimes called clepsydras, were developed in the ancient world to measure time when sundials could not. A water clock measures time by the steady flow of water in or out of a container. These devices could be used indoors and at night. Some were quite complex. Still, these tools were not in every home. They were often used by institutions, wealthy households, or specialized settings like courts, temples, or later, scientific work. A common person might live without ever seeing a water clock. Another tool is the hourglass or sandglass. It measures a fixed interval, not the time of day. An hourglass is useful when you need to measure how long rather than what time. In everyday life, fixed intervals can be very practical. Baking, for example, may require a steady time for heating. A guard might need to switch posts after a certain interval. A sailor might turn the sandglass regularly to manage watch cycles. At sea, timekeeping developed its own strong discipline. Sailors could not use sundials easily on a moving ship, and clouds could block observations. Instead, ships used sandglasses and a watch system, combined with ship's bells. The bell system at sea marks half-hour intervals within a watch. Sailors could keep routine, change watch, adjust sails, check position, and maintain order. This is not the same as a modern personal watch, synchronized to a national standard, but it is a structured time system. So far, the picture is clear. People had time awareness, but it was anchored to nature, tasks, and shared signals. Now consider what changes when mechanical clocks appear. Early mechanical clocks in Europe developed in the late medieval period. Many of the earliest were large tower clocks placed in churches or town centers. These clocks often struck bells to announce time. At first, these clocks were not like modern clocks. Many early mechanical clocks did not have minute hands. They were not accurate by modern standards. But they did something important. They created equal hours that did not change with the seasons. This mattered because it slowly shifted how people imagined time. Instead of thinking, the day stretches and shrinks, people could begin to think, an hour is always an hour. However, even when mechanical clocks existed, most daily life did not instantly become clock-driven. There are several reasons. First, access. A tower clock is public, but it may not be visible from everywhere, and its sound may not reach everyone equally. Personal clocks were expensive for a long time. Second, usefulness. Many forms of work do not require minute-level scheduling. Farming, building, and many crafts can be organized by light, weather, and task completion. Third, culture and habit. People coordinate by traditions that work. If the community already agrees on after the morning bell, the pressure to move to at 8015 is low. Still, over time, clocks spread. Public clocks in towns helped regulate markets, work shifts, and civic life. In some places, time discipline grew in settings where people had to coordinate tightly, such as large workshops, armies, and later factories. A major turning point came with the rise of better clock technology. In the 1600s, advances like the pendulum clock greatly improved accuracy. Improved accuracy made clocks more trustworthy for organizing daily schedules. Over time, minutes became more meaningful. But a deeper turning point was not only about accuracy. It was about synchronization. A village can live with its own local time based on the sun. Noon is when the sun is highest locally. But different towns have slightly different noons because longitude changes the sun's position. In a world of slow travel, that difference does not matter much. If it takes days to travel between towns, a few minutes difference in noon is not important. In a world of fast rail travel, those differences become a problem. Railroads needed precise schedules to prevent collisions and confusion. They needed many places to agree on the same time. In North America, railroads adopted standard time zones in the 1880s to coordinate schedules. This did not immediately replace local solar time everywhere, but it strongly pushed daily life toward shared, exact time. In Britain, telegraph networks helped spread accurate time signals from major observatories, allowing clocks in many places to be set the same way. This is another step toward a society where the time is one thing, not many local versions. Once shared standard time spreads, it changes expectations. If a town shares one standard time, then businesses can open and close by the same rule every day. Courts can schedule hearings by exact time. Schools can run on a timetable. Factories can assign shifts. This encourages more precise personal timekeeping. As clocks and watches become cheaper and more common, time becomes individualized. Instead of listening for a bell, a person can consult a watch. Instead of meeting after midday, people can meet at 2000. This also changes ideas about lateness and punctuality. In flexible time cultures, arriving within a broad window can be normal, especially when travel conditions are uncertain. In clock cultures, lateness becomes a measurable number of minutes. It changes work too. In task-based work, success is often measured by completion. The field was planted, the roof was repaired, the bread was baked. In clock-based work, time itself becomes a resource, measured and traded, hours worked, time on shift, paid by the hour. This shift does not happen overnight, and it does not happen the same way everywhere. But over the long term, it changes how societies organize effort, authority, and daily routine. Now return to the question, what did daily life feel like without exact time? It often meant that the day was read rather than counted. People watched light and shadow. They felt temperature changes. They observed animal behavior. They listened for community sounds. They used known routines, morning tasks, midday tasks, evening tasks. Appointments were common, but they were framed differently. Instead of meet at 10,003, it might be meet in the morning, meet when the sun is high, meet after the main service, or meet at the market opening. These phrases are not careless. They are functional in a world where precision is not always possible or needed. It also meant that the same activity could happen at different clock times across seasons. Harvest work might start very early in summer because the daylight allows it. In winter, the working window is shorter. Indoor tasks increase. Sleep patterns can change with light availability. In many places, nights were darker, and artificial light was limited and costly. That encouraged earlier bedtimes, but it also encouraged segmented sleep in some historical contexts, where people might sleep in 2 periods with a wakeful interval. Practices varied widely, but the overall point remains. Light shapes sleep when clocks do not dominate. Social class mattered. Wealthy households could have more access to timekeeping devices and could impose schedules on servants. Religious institutions had structured hours. Cities with public clocks had more regular signals. Rural laborers often lived closer to environmental time. Their days were shaped by immediate needs and constraints. Even within one town, different groups could live by different time systems. A church might follow canonical hours. A market might follow opening customs. A workshop might follow daylight and customer demand. A ship's crew follows watches and bells. None of these systems require minute hands. They require agreement, repetition, and shared cues. So the main lesson is that life without exact time is not timeless. It is time organized differently. It is built on flexible scheduling, where the goal is coordination within a window rather than at an exact point. It is built on natural rhythms, where the season and weather are accepted as part of the schedule. It is built on community signals, where bells, calls, and public routines synchronize people without private devices. And it is built on task completion, where work is measured by results and necessity more than by hours. The rise of exact timekeeping did not simply add convenience. It changed how societies worked. It increased the power of synchronized systems, railways, factories, schools, and large administrations. It increased the importance of punctuality and uniformity. It made minutes matter in more areas of life. But before that shift, for long stretches of history, daily life ran on a different kind of order, one that was practical, shared, and closely tied to the natural world.